All right. What's up, everybody? What's up? Welcome to Discovering Nicole. This is our first speaker meeting of 2022. Tonight, we're going to have a guest speaker. Her name is Natalee King, and she's going to come and share her experience, strength, and hope. For those of you guys that are new to my TikTok account and new to me, my name is Nicole Pludre, formerly known as Real Talk Recovery here on TikTok. And I started making content online back in 2018, because there was a gap. There was a need for online recovery meetings that were supporting of all pathways to recovery. Because when I got sober, I chose to get sober with Suboxone. And I found that when I was sharing my journey online, I was getting met with a lot of judgment and ridicule and just not being welcomed like I thought I would be. So I started Real Talk Recovery back in 2018, and I have been using my platform to share my experience, strength, and hope, to inspire and encourage people that struggle with a disease of addiction to get sober and change their life and give them a place where they can feel safe to share things, that you normally can't share around regular people because regular people just don't get it. Hey, Nat. So what I'm going to do is just hang tight, girl. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build up our audience over here. What I would do if I were you, Nat, is I would go live on your account in 5 minutes, okay? Go live on your account in 5 minutes and build up your audience there, and then I'll send you an invite, and we can just like that, bada bing, bada boom. So y'all come on in, share the video, like the video, invite your friends, okay? I'm going to do the same. I'm going to share the video right now over to my Facebook page. I'm going to share. Yeah, it's super easy, and I'll handle the rest after that. So Natalee was so amazing, you guys. I kind of put her on the spot, and I was like, you're going to come tell your story? And she's like, sure. And I'm like, okay, good, because I already told everybody that you're gonna. I was just like, if I don't go ahead and get this done and get on point with this, and I start like getting back into what we were doing, right? Which is having people come share their stories over here on my TikTok and my YouTube channel, then I'm not going to get back into the swing of things. Because last year we would do this every night. We had either a guest speaker or I was live, and it was so much fun, you guys. So I want to get back to where we're doing that, where there's like 100, 200, 300 people in here, and it's all people in recovery supporting each other and lifting each other up. And you don't have, and listen, girl, it's going to be fun. It's super laid back. There ain't nothing to be nervous about. Like, I'm just going to basically let you tell your story, And if we have questions, I'll just ask you, and it's really smooth. You'll see. Hey, Christine, thank you for being here. Thank you. I appreciate you. Hey, Junior, what's up? Thanks for being here. So I'm excited, you guys. I don't know all of Natalee's story. I just met her probably a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, here on TikTok, and I stumbled upon one of her videos, and honestly, I don't even know what the video is about. I'm pretty sure it was about her talking about recovery or her addiction, but I just reached out to her right away and was like, you should come tell your story on my channel. Because what I do after you guys come and share your stories here is I have a YouTube channel, okay? So if you guys come here, hey, Carla, and hey, Cheeks, what's up, girl? Hey, Diana. If you guys come here and you're unable to watch the video because you got to go take care of your kids, or you got to make dinner, or you are at work, have no fear. I download the live stream and then I upload it onto my YouTube channel. So if you guys don't get to watch it while it's live, you'll get to watch it, the replay. And I'll post it across all my social medias. So, yeah, and it's going to be great, you guys. Natalee is going to probably bring so much spice to the interview because she is on MAT just like I am. And so she and I will have a lot to talk about. Yeah, go live now. Get your people pumped up, and then I will send you an invite. And what will happen, Natalee, is you'll see a little see that little infinity sign that's red and blue. You'll see like a 1 or something there, and you just click that, and it'll show that I'm requesting you to come over. So I just want to get everybody in here because I literally made a video on all of my channels. Okay, so I have Discovering Nicole, which is this channel. Then I have Discovering Nicole 77. Then I have Nicole P 71315, and then I have the Sober Mamas channel. So I put I blasted it across all those channels so that way everybody would come to hear your story. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. So one of my favorite things to do, you guys, when I first got sober was to go to speaker meetings and birthday meetings where they like celebrate everybody's sobriety birthday. And so I can remember the first speaker meeting that I ever went to. It was when I was in treatment. The lady came to share her story, and it was Candace Regal, and I will never forget her because I remember her talking about getting arrested for manufacturing methamphetamine. And I was thinking, man, if she can get sober, then I can get sober. Do you know what I'm saying? And that was the first time that I had ever like been inspired by another addict or alcoholic sharing their story. You know, that was my first treatment center I had ever went into. Hey, Ryan. And so, yeah, so I want you guys to get excited. I want you guys to look forward to this. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we're going to be doing, like recovery live stream group meetings, that kind of thing. And I'll try to break it up and do Tuesdays and Thursdays with like a speaker, or or I might sprinkle speakers in there on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday too. But the only thing about it is it gets hard because I start scheduling people out by the weeks. And sometimes, a person will call out and say they can't make it, blah, 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 blah. But I'm pretty good at it. So we'll make it happen. Okay. So what I'm going to do, because I know Natalee's nervous, is I'm going to like go over there and grab her. Hold on, y'all. Oh, there we go. Invite her, because that way she can come on and we can chit chat. Hey, girl.
Hey.
Welcome to my live. Have you ever went live
before? Not really. I haven't really done this.
Oh, so. It's not a big deal. It's so easy. It's going to be so much fun. So I am so grateful to have you come on and share your story. I was watching you talking about your Suboxone, about being on Suboxone, and I was like, man, this would be a perfect time to have her on, because I'm going through my Suboxone detox journey, and then I have a lot of people that are tuning in because of that. And so hopefully people will find your channel too and be able to follow your journey, Suboxone journey too. You know what I mean?
Right. I've been on Suboxone for like 8 years now, and I haven't ever met anyone that's like been on it that long until I came to TikTok, and I got so excited because I need people to relate to when it comes to this, because I'm having a hard time as well. I want to get off of this, and I started at a high dose.
My best friend is on. My best friend Cindy's been on it for 16 years, and she's never going to get off of it. Like she's a lifer. She doesn't want to get off. You know what I mean?
How do they determine that?
Well, it's just up to the individual, like she just doesn't want to have to deal with coming off of it. And she's content. Like it doesn't bother her to go to the doctor's office once a month. It doesn't, to me, it was starting to like get on my nerves because it was like holding me back from being able to do things that I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to, if I want to go out and get a medical marijuana card and use plant medicine, I want to be able to use plant medicine. If I want to be able to, and you can't do that where here in Arkansas, they won't let you use plant medicine and be on it, or else they'll penalize you and keep you at a lower phase. So anyways, this is what I want. This is what I want you to do. I want you to, because I don't want to get distracted. What I want you to do is I want you to introduce yourself to everybody. I'm going to be quiet, and I want you to share with us what it was like when you were growing up. Okay, tell us how how was school? Did you fit in? Were your mom and dad married? That kind of thing. It's kind of set us up to let us know why and what happened and how you became in your addiction, how you got addicted, what happened, you know? If
Yeah.
it was in high school, if it was after you got married, if it was whatever. And then once you try drugs in your story, then I want you to share with us what it was like during your addiction. You know, tell us some of the high points, some of the low points, and then share with us how you got sober and what your life is like now.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
And you have the floor. If you need help from me, or if I see you like kind of getting stuttery or stopping or anything, I'll talk to you and ask you questions. So it's not even a big deal.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, to be honest, I think I had a really, had a good childhood. I've never been abused or anything like that. I've heard, devastating stories of, people's childhood, and I've been so blessed that I haven't had to experience that. My parents were in the military, so we did move around a lot. Um, and we eventually moved to Texas and settled down, and I went to high school and all that there. And that's where I decided to, uh, from there, that's when I decided to join the Air Force. But before that, so when I turned 18 and I graduated high school, um, my sister had always been an addict when I was kind of grown up. She was 8 years older than me. So
Wow.
that, yeah, so we were super close because she was a bit, to be honest, she was a little immature for her. Just now that I'm older, I realize this. I
Yeah.
didn't think that back then, but now that I'm older, she was very, self-centered, and she was a typical addict. And it wasn't talked a lot back then. Suboxone wasn't around back then. Uh, at least not that I knew of. It wasn't as popular, at least.
Did your
Because
parents know that she was addicted? Like, was she coming home like fucked up and like, did they
yeah.
see that?
So yes. Um, Now, when I say that I had a good childhood, that doesn't mean uh, that my parents were perfect. My parents knew that she was on drugs, and they also had, my dad at least had a problem with prescription pills, and so they would kind of switch and help each other out, my
Yeah.
sister and my dad and stuff. And my mom knew of it. She didn't approve, but she didn't do anything about it. So, yeah, they knew that she was an addict, but they didn't know how bad off she was. They didn't realize how it was. I don't know. It was, killing her. Um, but what was I saying? So where were we?
You were talking about how your parents didn't know that how bad off she was, and that your dad and her would kind of switch off and stuff. But they back then they didn't really know a lot about addiction, and they didn't know that how bad her addiction had gotten.
Right. Okay. So that's why whenever she did pass away, because my sister, she was not only but she was taking prescription pills only,
Uh huh.
and she wasn't shooting anything up. So in our eyes, we didn't think, I don't
It's
know,
not.
we
It's not
just didn't.
bad. It's legal. It's prescribed. It can't be that bad. The doctor gave it to me.
Exactly. And that's another thing we didn't know at the time, was she was going to these doctors, these pill mills.
Yeah.
So even though these were prescribed to her and she was allowed to take them, we didn't realize that it was from a crooked doctor.
Right. She probably had
So,
like multiple doctors that were giving her
oh
multiple
yeah,
prescriptions.
she took me with her one time to like two different ones in the
Uh
same
huh.
day. I was like, oh God, Nikki. And this was whenever I got into high school and I started seeing her addiction. And that's whenever I kind of started getting exposed to like dabbling and stuff,
Hmm.
at that young of an age. But uh, so she ended up passing away when I was 18, from an overdose. And after that, I kind of had I don't know, I kind of dabbled in a lot of like Vicodin and Xanax and stuff like that.
Did she overdose because she was mixing opiates and benzos? Is that what happened?
Right. So they found some opiates, benzos, and she had also taken somas that night. So
Oh God.
Yeah.
That
So
will make it to where you can't even walk. And my
I
husband
know.
used to do that same thing. He would take somas, pain pills, methadone, and Xanax. And I literally would watch him like almost swallow his tongue because he would be like, you know what I mean?
And
Scary.
they can't talk. They can't
No.
form words. It was scary to see, definitely. But we were used to it.
Yeah.
To be honest, we were just used to it. And so that night, my brother was staying with her that night. Um, I get a phone call. So I'm at a friend's house, and I get a phone call around like 4 in the morning. And I missed the phone call, and then my friend wakes me up and says, "Your mom's on the phone, and she's screaming, and she needs to talk to you." And I'm, so she's just I get on the phone, and I'm like, oh my God, my mom's screaming. I can't understand anything she's saying. And then my dad grabs the phone, and he just says, "Your sister's dead." And I said, "Where is she? What hospital is she at?" Because I thought maybe she was at the hospital from an
Yeah.
overdose, because she's done that before. So I thought it was just another overdose. And she would actually, be back. I didn't think she was dead whenever he said that. And so I was like, "Well, what hospital is she at?" And he says, "No, she's at her house. Come to her house, right now." And so, my friend's mom ends up driving me to my sister's house. And I get there. When I get there, she was still upstairs, and the cop cars were there, but there was no ambulance there. And so I thought the ambulance just hadn't got there, but really the ambulance had already came and gone, and they pronounced her dead at the scene. But so her fiance at the time was there, and my little brother. So the story goes, my brother fell asleep on the couch, and my sister fell asleep on the couch, and her fiance fell asleep upstairs in their bedroom. The fiance comes downstairs around 3 in the morning to get some water, and my sister is on the floor on her knees with her face in the carpet. And he turns on the lights, and picks her up, and he realized she has food stuck in her throat. And by this time, my brother is awake too. So, he wakes her up, and then he takes the food out of her mouth. He wakes my brother up and then takes the food out of her mouth. And then my brother was a lifeguard at the time, and he knew CPR. So he started doing CPR on her, and the fiance called 911. So while they were waiting for the ambulance, they had both of them had taken her clothes off and put her in a bathtub to try waking her up.
Yeah.
And then that wasn't working, so they just laid her back on the floor, and they continued CPR and sternum rubs, and until the paramedics got there, and she just never woke up. So
damn.
When I got there,
devastating.
Yeah, it was hard, especially at that age. And I don't know here.
How old were you when she passed away?
18.
Okay. So she was only what, 26 or 36?
26.
26.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's
fucked
up. When you said that she was sitting there on her knees with her face in the carpet, like I cannot tell you how many times like I've been like that with like Indian style and like hunched over because I, got it out. And that could have been either one of us anytime, like,
I know. I think about that all the time. All the time.
God, I
Like
feel like,
I don't know how it happens to some of us and some of us it
well,
doesn't.
that's what I was just going to say. There's a saying that my sponsor used to tell me. She would say, some of us die so that some of us die so some of us can live. Like,
Right.
there was a reason why your sister went before you, because you're here to be alive, because your purpose is to share her story and your story.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I believe.
All right. No,
Okay,
you're right
so
about that.
after she overdosed and passed away, what happened? How did you handle that? Did you start getting high? What happened? Tell me about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, it's like it's in my family. It runs in my blood. It really does. Addiction does. And that's what I was used to. And so, that's how I went. That's what I did to cope. So
Yep.
I always went to drugs. So yes, I started, doing some prescription pills, and um, that what happened after that. I haven't thought of this. I haven't thought of my past in a while, so you're gonna have to
I
forgive
am always thinking of it. Like,
me.
I am always like telling new stories and rejogging memories from the past.
You're just like my brother. My little brother does that too, and I don't. And so and I really, I've said this before. I regret this too, because I I make it a point to think of like my late husband at least once a day, or think of a short memory of us or something. And because I didn't do that with my sister, a lot of our memories I wanted to forget, and I suppressed them, and I went to drugs, and I don't know, um, just I suppressed them, and now I feel like I am like forgetting her or something.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. So
Maybe you could like set up a little place in your house where you have like a pictures of her and you, and when she was a kid and stuff, and then things that she liked, like a corner for her, and then I'm sure you have a corner for your husband, where he has all the stuff that he liked, and that you remember him by, and just so that way, she can have her little part of the house and he can have his part of the house, and that could be
I
helpful. And
know.
another thing you could do is you could start sharing, like going live on your TikTok and start talking. Sorry, my hair's in my eye. Start sharing about, how what happened to your sister, and maybe the lack of like knowledge that your family had about addiction, and how that other families are probably going through the same thing, and you can help those families by sharing, like signs to look for that in somebody that might be struggling with addiction, like to use your platform to bring back memories of her. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's absolutely that's what I need to do. That's what I want to do too.
And also, like, I feel like it's really a healing thing whenever I share, even if it's a story that's really traumatizing to me. Like, when I share about those things, it takes the power away from them and makes me feel freer.
It's so crazy. Everything you say, even in your videos on your TikTok, I agree with everything that you say. Like, I'm telling you,
I
it
know what you
helps
mean. Like,
me. It
you
helps me
have
cope too.
that's because we have we relate on a lot of things. And whenever I think people don't understand that when we are sharing about our drug addictions and our stories, like, yeah, it's funny and I laugh because it's the past, but a lot of the reason why I share it is because I'm relating with my peers. Like, you're my peer, and I know there's somebody out there that can understand and knows what I'm talking about. And so that's how
Exactly.
I connect with people. There we go, I got that on my face. you know
That's you're absolutely right. That's why I share it too. And it's almost like a release as
yeah.
well. It's I don't know.
So listen,
Uh,
after your sister passed away and you started picking up the pills, is that what you went through? Went straight to was pills?
yeah, the same thing that she was doing.
Okay, so
Just
you
some,
start, and was it just like balls to the wall? You're getting high on pills now, or did you ease your way into it? Tell
I
us a
eased
little bit
my
about that.
way. I definitely eased my way into it. I wasn't doing anything like real hard, and I wasn't. My friends were still friends from high school that I hung out with high school, so I didn't know anybody that had stuff,
Mm-hmm.
anything basically. So it wasn't bad, but it was enough for my parents to notice. And they sent me to a rehab. Well, this was so I had at 19, I was having a bad year, and just I tried to like unalive myself. I don't know what I can say on TikTok, so I
No,
don't want to
you're
get in
okay.
trouble.
Yeah.
So I had taken like a handful of I don't even remember what, and I just went to sleep. Like, oh, and I went to my bed. Well, I woke up the next morning, and at that time I was pissed about it, but
Yeah.
thank you, Lord. But so I remember my eyesight was super foggy, and my ears were ringing like off the wall, and it was real like staticky, and so it kind of freaked me out. So the only person that was home was my dad, and I was like, Dad, I can't hear anything, and I can't see. I think I was crying. I was like, I think I need to go to the hospital. And he was like, why? He was asking me why, and I ended up telling him what I had done, and he was very upset with me, and he started yelling at me. And I remember being in the bathroom, and he had brought a 9 millimeter in there, and he had cocked it, and he goes, if you want to F and die, then you can do it right now. And he handed me the gun, and I was like, I'll do it. I'm not, being a typical 19-year-old girl, like, I'll do it. I'm not scared, da 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 da, and yelling at him back. And I
Yeah.
had held it to my head, and he just stood there, watching me. And it felt like forever. I had it held up to my head, and he just had his arms crossed, and I pulled the trigger, and it went click. And he snatched it out of my hand, and he said, I just lost a daughter. Did you really think I was going to let my second daughter blow her brains out all over the wall? And I was like, I didn't say anything. I don't remember what I said. And he was like, get up. I'm taking you to the hospital. And that's when I got checked into my first behavioral health institution and
But
stuff.
your dad sounds like he was sick too, though. Like, I know
He
he struggled
was.
with addiction, but was he like a military dad that was like very authoritarian, like
Yeah,
very strict and
he
very
was.
controlling? Yeah, that's how my
Absolutely.
dad was too. I know.
Like, I mean, I like I said, I remember having a good childhood. Um, but I don't know if it's because I've suppressed memories, but I don't remember much about my childhood. I really don't, but I don't remember it being bad. I don't remember anything bad ever happening. I remember being loved and having fun.
Hmm.
That's what I remember. So but I do know that my parents, like, they had troubles, together. They've been married for a long time. My dad passed away recently, about a year ago, but they've had troubles in their marriage, growing up, but they've always been together all these years. So I just thought, I don't know.
That's how my parents are still married too. Me and my husband will probably be married forever like that too. That's how I was raised up. That like,
Yeah,
once you get married, that's who you're with for the rest of your life. So, whenever I married Neil, I was like really afraid to just finally do it because I'm like, once I do this, this is it. And so I didn't marry
I
him
know.
until I had been with him for like 9 years or something,
I know. I feel the same way. I really do.
Because I was
That's
scared.
exactly.
I was like, I'm going to take myself off the market and I'm never going to be able to see another guy ever again. You know what I mean? But
I
I did it.
know.
We did it. So,
I
okay.
know.
So your dad took you to the behavioral health treatment program. Now, what was that like?
Um, from what I can remember, it was kind of it wasn't bad. I didn't think it was bad. It was new to me. It was something new. And so it was, of course, kind of like, of course, I wanted to go home and all that. But if you stay in there for enough times, I don't know, or long enough, it's not that bad.
Oh, I
And
know.
so,
I've
and
been to, my sister used to go in and out of a mental institution, and I went in and out of rehab. So I made friends, honey, real fast.
me too. And so I always, met cool people, interesting stories,
Yeah.
interesting backgrounds. So, I just remember it not being too bad. I did read, everything that they gave me. And I was serious about wanting to get help because I wanted to know what was wrong with me and what I was going through and what it was that I was feeling and why I was feeling this way. So I did want the help. I don't know if I really thought that I had a drug addiction at the time. I don't think I thought I did. I mean, this was, I was like, oh, what I've done is nothing, is nothing compared to, that's what I thought at the time.
Right.
In reality, that's not how that works. But so I end up leaving the behavioral health institution, and it does help keep me clean.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I had joined the Air Force. And I joined the Air Force after that.
My mom and dad they're both Air Force too.
Are they?
Yeah,
Air
that's
Force
cool.
is like one of the best branches.
So
It really is.
what was it like for you going through Air Force boot camp?
So I was a smoker at the time. And man, I still passed all my PT tests with like 100s and all this stuff. Like I don't know why it came natural to me to be able to like run and stuff, but it did. And I didn't expect that, especially, I don't know, being a smoker and how I don't know, whatever. So the PT part was pretty easy for me, but the mental part was a little bit harder because I'm kind of a sensitive person and they yell at you in there. And I got picked on. Like I
Yeah.
really did, because I showed up at basic with like a face full of makeup one time. And oh God, I got my ass ripped apart for that. And it was horrible. So they had nicknamed me like Hot Mess Barbie or something like that. I'm like, oh, thanks guys.
So you're not allowed to wear makeup on your while you're doing it?
Not during basic training.
Okay.
After basic, you can wear makeup, but like basic training, yeah, they'll rip you apart if I don't
So
know.
basically, you're just supposed to be there like just you, and they're teaching you like the basics, I guess, right? Like
Yeah,
you're
the
climbing
basic.
over walls and shit like that.
Yeah, and they
Dude, I was
want
fucking die of a
everybody
heart
like
attack if I had to do that shit.
I came with like blonde hair like this
Uh-huh.
with dark roots, and they made me go to the salon and get my hair all brown. I had to dye it all brown. They just want you looking just simple as can be.
Yeah, yeah.
You know. But it was fun. I liked basic training. I didn't like it at the time, but it was a lot of fun looking back. And then what did I do? So after my training, I went to my first duty station was Japan. I got to get a drink. Hold on.
Uh-huh.
Get a drink.
Oh, you got to go to Japan?
Yes.
That is so fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
Like for anything going into the military, that would be like the reason why if I had gone would to be to travel.
I know that I love to travel, and being a like military brat, growing up, we traveled a lot, so I was just normal to me. I was like, I had to travel. So on my wish list, like Japan was at the top of it. And so it was like Hawaii and I forget, Puerto Rico, stuff like that. I wanted to go everywhere, or in Italy too.
Oh yeah. Did you did you meet your husband in Japan?
Yes. So I met
Okay,
him in
sorry,
Japan.
I'm getting ahead of the story, but
No, you're fine.
I was trying to figure out like when he came in. Okay, so I'll shut up. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Um, yeah, so I ended up going to Japan, and I that's where I met John. And um so what, I don't know, what can I say about this? I don't know, what can I. Japan was fun. It was like new to experience, and you know, when I met John, I it was so funny because I actually was with another guy friend, and he was had his Facebook, and his profile picture was himself, and then John, my husband, was in the background because he had an orange hat on, and I remember looking at it. I was like, "Ooh, your friend is cute," but I remember thinking to myself, "He's probably a friend from back home. You know, I don't know who this guy is." And he was like, and I thought to myself that, but really, it ended up being his roommate, or his next door neighbor roommate,
Uh-huh.
in the dorm rooms. And so whenever I realized that, and because I went to the tagged photo, he was tagged,
Uh-huh.
I ended up
Oh, so you
seeing him
were doing
at the bar.
detectiveness on Facebook.
Yeah, I did. Well, he was like, he was really cute in the
Yeah.
picture, and he looked so cute to me, and I just couldn't believe that he was here in Japan, and it wasn't like some a random friend from back home or something. Like, I don't know, that surprised me
Yeah.
at first. And so then I ended up seeing him at a bar downtown in Japan, not in Tokyo, but our little town that was off base. We called it Bar Row. And so I saw him because he had his orange hat on, and he was really tall. And in Japan, everyone's real short. And so, and so he was just super tall, towering over everyone. And I don't know. I remember seeing, what did I do? Hold on. Oh yeah. Uh, he bought me a drink, and I walked over to him, and we exchanged phone numbers. And I ended up leaving, and he ended up coming to my dorm room later that night, like super drunk off his ass. And I had to work the next morning. He was like, "Can I sleep in here?" And I was like, "Yeah, come on and sleep in here, but I got to go to work in like 2 hours." And so he fell asleep with his boots on and his hat on, and with his arms crossed and his jeans on. And he was like this country boy. So he had his, that's what everyone called him too, in Japan at least.
Mm.
And so anyways, he had his belt buckle on, everything on, and he just fell asleep like in the corner. So I don't know. I ended up going to work, and I don't know. The text was lost. After that day, we were like inseparable. We never left each other's side after that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a horrible storyteller, but
So y'all fell in love. That's how me and my husband were. When I met my
we
husband,
did.
I saw him and I seen him on the couch. He was over at my house. He was on. So I was living in my friend's house and I was sleeping on her couch, and he was on the couch because he had came over with his friend. And I was like, that's gonna be my boyfriend. Like, I'm gonna make that dude mine. You know, the minute I saw him, I saw him and I was like, he is so cute to me. I like the way he's standing. I like the way he spoke. Then when we went outside to get in his car, he opened the car door for me, and I was like, "This dude I'm
I
taking him home
know.
with me," because I had been used to getting treated like a dope whore because I was cooking meth with like guys in trailer parks, and
I know.
so I wasn't treated like, "Hey, let me open the car door for you." So when Neil did that for me, I was so special to me. So we were the same way, very connected from the very first moment.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know why we were so inseparable. Uh, I don't know. It really felt like a whirlwind, like romance, and I don't know. It was so fun though.
So what
So anyway,
happened? Like, y'all were in Japan and y'all were obviously
yeah.
dating.
So we were in Japan, and we ended up getting orders. We had a choice, actually. I forget what happened. We had a choice whether we wanted to go back stateside or if we wanted to stay in Japan another year or two. And so, that was a hard decision because he had already been there for a while, longer than I have. But we ended up going stateside. And I was pregnant. I ended up finding out we were pregnant. Oh, hey, Casey.
That's
And
awesome.
that's my, sorry, I had to say hi to my husband's cousin. So we ended up going stateside. And, you know, that's a decision I battle with too, to this day, because that's where he passed away. So
What happened? I don't know what happened. Like, I just know that he passed away, but I had no idea what
okay.
happened.
So we ended up going to Maryland. I ended up having our son there. And he worked on Air Force One and like Air Force One hangar. And because that's our presidential base, Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland, where we were stationed. That's our presidential base. So that's where they have Air Force One and stuff. So he worked on that. Well, one day he just had to. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of.
No, you're okay.
How I'm trying to how I want it to come out, and I'm a horrible storyteller. So
Just don't even think about it. Don't think about how you want to say it. Just let it flow out, because it's going to be authentic and it's going to be genuine and it's going to be the way you felt, the way you feel. You know what I mean? Nobody here is going to judge you. Nobody here. And if they say shit, I will fucking whoop their ass. So.
Okay. So what happened was my mom was visiting. And she was due to leave the next day. This was a Sunday. She was due to leave the next day. And I was sleeping in, and my mom was downstairs with the baby my son, who was around 8 months at the time. And she was letting me sleep in. And we get a knock on the door, and John worked on Sundays. So he was at work. We get a knock at the door, and it's John's first sergeant, and she's a female, and she's not in her uniform or anything. She's in civilian clothes, and she's like, hey, she has her keys in her hand, and she's just like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that there was an accident at John's work this morning. And I was like, okay, what kind of accident? And I mean, and with the military, you never know what it could be. It could be something serious, or it could be a freaking, I don't know, sprained ankle. Like they have to notify you. But yeah. So she comes inside. She ends up staying. So I knew had to be something a bit serious, because I was told he was going to the hospital. And she was staying at my house, and she was on the phone with other people. But at the time it wasn't like red flags to me that much. Now back it is. Oh no, I thought maybe I was hoping for the best.
Yeah.
So anyways, we end up, what happens? So she ends up, the first sergeant, we're talking and laughing. She has a real light mood. It's real easy. Nothing's real serious. Well, she ends up walking outside and going to her car, and she ends up going out there for like a while, for, maybe even a few hours, like a couple hours. And she was on the phone, and my mom and I were inside. And I guess she had left and came back, and it was her, the first sergeant, and then there's the commander and the chaplain. I didn't know it was the chaplain at the time. It was just, to me, it was just other people in uniform, you know.
Yeah.
So they came up to my door, and they were like, hey, making their way through the house saying, hey, let's sit down. And I start freaking out. I'm starting to freak out now. And my heart's racing. And my mom, she's already screaming because she already knew, because my mom is military as well. So she already knew. She was like, oh my God, Natalee. She's like, oh my God, Natalee, no, freaking, I don't know. So I start saying, tell me what's going on. And they will not tell me. They're like, sit down first. I don't want to sit down. Just fucking tell me. And finally they're like, he's dead. Your husband passed away. And I was like, how, what happened? Well, first I actually scream and I collapse. And I start freaking out. But then I start asking questions that they can't give the answers to at all. And I remember my neighbor coming over, and she took the baby because I was out of it. And then so it was just my mom and I. They took us out of the house, and I actually ended up, they let me have a choice if I wanted to stay home or if I wanted to like go to a hotel room, and in between them, because I was gonna move back to home or Florida. Home to me is Texas, though. So in the meantime, they asked where I wanted to stay, and it was so painful. People ask me, I don't know, some people might feel more comfortable staying at their house, or sleeping in the same bed, but to me it was like unbearable. And it still is. But yeah, so I ended up,
tell me this, how long were you guys married before, when this happened? Like, had y'all been together for, like, so your baby was 8 months old when it happened?
right, and we didn't even get a chance to even be together long at all, and live out all the plans that we had. We were only together for like 2 years before he
Damn.
passed.
Was it just like a freak accident?
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna tell you. Sorry. Yeah, I'm bad at this. Okay. So where were we? The story's online too. So if I explain this horrible, you can read it too. But so he worked on Air Force One, and they were in the hangar that morning. And from what I was told, they had to move around equipment that was in a back corner. And in this back corner, it was really dark. And something that they had to move was this lift vehicle. Now, this vehicle is made only for Air Force One, and there's only 2 of them in the entire world. Our military has them. So it's made especially for Air Force One to just put, I don't know exactly what it's used for, but I think it's used to put stuff in it. It's called a lift vehicle. I don't know. But so not, anyways, so the point of that is there's not a lot of guys that are trained on driving this vehicle. They're not trained and they don't know how to drive it. Well, there's an airman who had to drive it, and he had to move it. And if you move a government vehicle in the military, you have to have a spotter. And so my husband was the spotter, and the guy was trying to back it up or something, and he says that his foot slipped, but also he didn't know how to drive it. He admitted that, and it jumped forward, and it had pinned my husband against a wall, and it had killed him. I don't know, from what I was told, that the foot slipped, and the last thing that the driver said that he heard was John yelling, "Stop, stop." And he just, I guess, couldn't in time.
That's some fucked up bullshit right there.
Yeah, it really is.
Like,
And I don't, I don't want to like bad mouth anybody or him, because I think I don't know if I forgive him or not. Like, I don't know if I do. Yeah. I mean, I'm not mad at him. Like, I don't like hate the guy, because I know it was an accident, and I know he felt bad and probably still feels bad. I mean, I'm sure he does. Um, but I don't know if if I forgive him. I don't know.
girl, I understand what you're saying. You got resentment because he took your husband away from you. That's what it
Yeah.
is. And I don't know if you work at the 12 steps or not, but if you haven't, you should get a sponsor and work the 12 steps. And I'm telling you, if I can forgive the bitch who called CPS on me and literally almost fucking got my child taken away from me for life, because the steps, they helped me do that.
Steps did.
Yeah.
I've worked the steps before. Probably haven't been as serious on them, and I don't work on now, but I have worked the steps.
And also that's like time too, like that's like a big thing. It's not like y'all were just getting your lives started. You were just your brand new baby. Like, that's not something that you could just easily say, okay, I forgive you, bye. Like, that's devastating. That's fucked up,
Yeah, so it just makes me sick to my stomach, because it's just not fair.
man.
That's what I felt like. Uh, I don't know. He was so young too. He God, he was just so young.
Does your son, you have a son, right?
Yes, so we have a son together. He's 9 years old now,
Does he look like
and
your husband?
oh my God, spit an image, and
That's so
it's
awesome.
great. I love it, but it also breaks my heart. But I love it.
That's
I love
so
it.
amazing, though. That's how
Yeah,
amazing God is, that that God, like, you had a boy, because the Lord knew that what happened was going to happen before it even happened, and
I know
He
it.
knew that there needed to be a little guy to carry on your husband's name. You know what I'm saying?
I know it. I think of that all the time, because my son he's John James King the third, but he's actually a John King, like the sixth, because the way theirs goes is the middle name like switches every other generation. So it's like, if this makes sense, it's like John James King, John Edward King, and then it'd be John James King the second, and
Uh-huh.
then John Edward the second, and then it goes from there. So it's actually like, I don't know, there's more of them. So
That's
it's cool
crazy. That's cool.
that it's, I don't know. I feel like it was something that was meant to be too.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah. After he passed away, did you get bad in your addiction and like fall off the wagon and go back out?
Yeah. Yeah. So after he passed, um I didn't like have a plan to do this. Like, I didn't,
Well, yeah, of
I did
course not.
that. I did that little stint in that little rehab that I did at 19, whoop, whoop, whoop de doo. That's all I had. And so, okay, after he died, so how did I start? Okay, so they prescribed me Xanax pretty much right away.
Yeah.
Um, And I was open to that. I told them, give me anything you can. I was like, whatever you can get me, just give me. I don't even care what it does or whatever. Give it to me. And they did. And they gave me some Xanax right away. I didn't start abusing it right away. It just stopped working right away. So I had to take more. So of course I ended up abusing it. Yeah. And that was the end of it. Like from there on, especially if I was on Xanax, I would have tried anything, to be honest.
Heck yeah,
To
man. Xanax made me have big ass cojones, big balls, and I would get
get,
super cocky, and I would do anything I wanted to do, and you couldn't tell me nothing if I was on Xanax.
oh my gosh, me too. Girl, too. I thought I don't know, I thought I was something else. And I would steal whatever, even if people were staring right in my face, I would steal it.
Yep.
I'd steal their purse and tell them no, I didn't. Like
I don't know why
oh,
Xanax does that, but I was the same way. Like, I had just bought a brand new pair of Nike Shox. They were so cute, and I literally left my Nike Shox for a $1 pair of flip flops at Walmart and got busted high on Xanax. Like, who does that? Like, fucking, stupid. But I was
oh
the
my
same
God.
way. Like, I was just kleptomaniac on Xanax.
It makes a lot of people klepto. I don't know why it does that, but it's scary.
For sure. For
The
sure.
the man I'm with now, he helped me get sober. I'll tell you, we can talk more about that, but and we'll get to him too. But he helped me get sober, and he has a lot of good, like, not good, but good stories to
Yeah.
that remind me, like, wow, like that I don't remember. And he's like, yeah, you did that, and I had to do this. It's embarrassing. So where were we? I forget again.
You got prescribed Xanax from the doctor after your husband passed away.
Okay, that's right. So after that, I would try anything and everything. Um, it so I'm trying to think of how my journey of what happened and how I started. So I started using. Okay, so I was really irresponsible. I had my son, and he was the first year, and my parents at the time lived in Texas, so I was alone, and I in Florida, and I had my in-laws, but my in-laws were very, they turned to their faith and stuff like that, and they basically told me to my face, hey, you need to straighten your life out, like you need to pick your feet up and figure out something, because this ain't it. And they basically, let me go do my own thing, and so that's what I did. And I met new people, but the people I met were all, strung out on drugs too, and addicts and whatever. And so my parents thankfully ended up moving to Florida. And I ended up moving in with them, because they lived about 2 hours away. So I ended up moving 2 hours away to move in with them in Florida. And my son and I stayed there. My mom had to help me with my son, because I don't know, 23 years old, widowed, and I'm a drug addict. And I was not a good mom. I was not being a good mom. And I know that now. Even whenever I was there, I wasn't, you know what I mean?
I totally
So,
understand, because and this is what I tell people here on on TikTok. You might have been a soccer mom, and you might have been able to work a job, and you might have been a lawyer while you were getting high on meth or heroin or crack cocaine or whatever you were doing. But when you are under the influence of substances, you cannot be present. You cannot be the best form of yourself, the best version of yourself that you need to be for your child. And if you think that your kids don't sense that you're doing something that's changing who you are, changing the way you act, they do. They know. My
They
little
do.
boy knew. My son, when I would be under the influence of, when I got sober from methamphetamine, I was so emotional. I cried so much when I finally got to see him when he got put in foster care, that he wouldn't come to me because the tension and the nerves and the crying and the me being so upset that I had gotten him taken away from me
Yeah,
scared him from me. Like he didn't want to come to me. Like our kids know, when we're fucking up.
I know it. You're so right about that. God, I haven't since my son was real young, and I'm thankful for that. So he doesn't really remember too much. Um, and I thankfully was able to get, clean quick enough.
Oh yeah.
But oh Lord, that's something I'm grateful for, because I don't know, it's hard. I know exactly what you mean.
Nobody can understand what it's like to be a mother who struggled with addiction, whether you were pregnant and addicted, whether you already had your kid and you were addicted, because the guilt
Uh,
that weighs
I,
on I will never not have the guilt. I've tried. I've done the steps. I've done meditation. I've done therapy. I've prayed over myself. I've had my mom pray over me.
yeah,
My mom is like literally the most a spiritual prayer warrior of all times. And if my mom can't get it to pray to get it fixed with a prayer, then nobody can. And the guilt will always be with me. I will never, ever be able to get away from it.
for
That's
the
just part of
exact
being a mom. And if you fucked up when you were a mom, you carry it with you for life.
yes. I can feel my heart like heavy when you're talking about that, because I feel the exact same way. It's mom guilt, and it doesn't go away. It
Ugh,
sucks.
it's hard,
Uh,
man. It's hard.
so so like I was saying, where were we? Uh so I wasn't the best mom. I had just moved in with them. I would go in and out for like weeks at a time, days at a time, on like bingers, and just, come home whenever I felt like coming home. And my mom and dad, they didn't allow me to do this, but they kind of did. Because, I mean, they did. They locked me out of the house a few times. I've been in and out of behavioral health institutions, but in this time. I wasn't working or anything. Like I said, so I was doing nothing with my life, and I was miserable. I was depressed. I was just trying to, I don't know. I think, I don't know. I was trying to kill myself. I don't
I
know
mean,
what I was
yeah,
trying to.
you're on a suicide mission, girl. I mean, like subconsciously, you know what I'm saying? When you're using
Exactly.
substances, and you're depressed and you just lost your husband and you're getting fucked up, like it's like
Mm-hmm.
you're subconsciously trying to end your life, you know what I mean? Or you don't care if you live or die.
Exactly. That's exactly how to say it. Is I didn't care. You know, I just didn't care. Um, so anyways, that's what I was doing in this time. And it got to the point to where I started shooting meth. And that's when, I don't know, that's when I loved it, you know.
Oh yeah, I know.
I,
I know.
I'm like, yeah, I loved it. And it sucked. Uh,
And you're thin though.
you
How
know,
did you get like so skinny?
yeah, I was really
Because
skinny.
you're already skinny, girl. I can't
I
even.
know. I
You
was just,
probably were so tiny. Because I was
I,
tiny, but I got big
I
as a
was,
house
I
after I got sober.
very sick. I looked very sick. I looked extremely sick. I mean, anybody, if you looked at me, you could tell something. I was on something. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could, maybe you couldn't. I think you
I
could.
saw that one video you posted on your page when you were in the car, and I think you were with your mom.
Yes.
And that's how I was back then. That's exactly how I was. And my mom would be like, "Are you okay? Do you like that? Does that feel good to you? Like you look like it's
I know.
horrible, you know?"
Yeah, my mom told me I was I had asked my mom one day, I was like, man, I wish I had more pictures of myself when I was in my addiction. I want to see how much I changed and in my looks, and stuff. And she was like, I have one video of you, I think, in my phone. I was like, oh, you got to send it to me. So she had sent me those videos. There's two like short clips of the same time, but two different clips. So, yeah, I asked her, I said, oh, fuck, I'm losing my train of thought again.
No,
So,
you're doing good. But your mom, your mom, because that's when I saw that picture. I saw that car, you driving in that car, and your mom's like, "Do you enjoy that?"
yes. So, I felt so bad for her. Oh, so I was going to court, and she just let me out. She just let me out up the stairs. She was like, I didn't walk you in or anything. I was like, Mom, to be honest, I don't blame you. That's embarrassing. She probably wanted me to go to jail that day. To
Can you
keep
believe
clean.
we walked around like that though? Like, I honestly thought that I looked fine. Didn't you think you were looking okay too?
Oh, I thought I was so fine.
Yeah. Like,
I thought,
now I know why I got fired from so many jobs. Now I know why, like, the time I was getting my hair done at the hair place, the lady called the police on me. Because I was nodded out in
now
the
I
fucking
know
chair.
why.
You
I know
know?
that's what I was like. Now I know why people accused me of shoplifting. Why they called the cops on me
Yeah.
for sitting on a park bench, and I'm like, shit. I
Because we
don't
look
know.
damn crazy. It's so, the addict mind, when we are in active addiction, our mind is so, our perception is so skewed. Okay. Like, when we're in our active addiction, this bottle right here is empty. But to me, in active addiction, oh, it's full to the top, overflowing. But that's not reality. There's nothing in this fucking bottle. But when I'm
Right.
fucking high, it's like my perception is so off. And not to mention, like, everything is like I feel like everything is revolving around me when I'm high. And it's like, if things aren't, I don't know, I was very like selfish in the way that, like, I wanted things to go the way I wanted them to go. Like, when I was using, I wanted to make sure I got drugs right away. I got to use first, that kind of thing. It was just a
Right.
fucking shit show.
I used to say I could be sitting on the couch, um, sober and just bored as hell and hating everything. And then as soon as I take a handful of pills, I can be sitting on the same couch watching the same thing, and I'd be having the time of my life,
Yeah.
And it's the perception. It just sucks, that.
But I mean, now though, like, seeing videos like with you, like, I see myself, because I wish I had videos of me back then. I really, really do. All I have is like pictures that I took when I was like putting makeup on and stuff like that on my Facebook or something. I would pay money to find videos from me back then because,
Girl, me too. If I
it
had
was rough.
more, I had some of my sister, because it's funny that you say, it reminds you of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because every time I see videos of me like that, I see my sister, because that's exactly how my sister looked. Exactly. I mean, same facial expressions, isn't it weird how it does that to everybody when it's just.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, when I would be on meth, I would be so hyper focused and putting makeup on and trying to look so good, but then I looked so gaunt and my eyes were sunk down and my cheeks were stuck. It was just horrible. It was horrible. I'm glad that we don't have to live like that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, looking back on my life and looking at picture with your video, when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, I think of my poor mom watching me and looking at me, and I know my mom was crying. I know she was dying inside seeing me like that, because I can't even imagine seeing my own baby like that,
And I don't know what I would do either,
That's how
but I
I put
feel.
I put myself in that position where I think about what would happen if that was Nate, Um,
Oh.
and that's
And
makes it easier to understand how our parents felt.
I know. Is your son's name is Nate?
Uh-huh.
Is it short for Nathan? Is his whole name Nathan?
Nathaniel.
Nathaniel? Oh, I
Uh-huh.
love that name.
Yeah. Nathaniel. I'm Nicole, Nathaniel, and Neil.
That's okay. So my mom named her 3 kids Nicole, Natalee, and Nathan.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so crazy. Oh my God. I feel like, I don't know what it is about you, but I feel like we would be really good friends if we lived in the same. Here's the thing with me, like on social media, like I want to make friends and I want to have a best friend so bad. But it's like the people that I do have that are my friends, they're in other states. And so I don't have like any close people to me in Arkansas. You know what I'm saying?
I just like call up and be like, hey, let's go get something to eat or something.
Yes, I want to just show up at my girlfriend's house because that's what I used to do. I would go, I'm going to Misty's house, and I would just drive to her apartment. Bam, 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 I'm here. Go lay on the couch until she got up, and then my sister would show up and her friend. And I miss that so much. Like at 40 years old, I want to have like my girlfriends again. That's one of the things that, like, the reason why I started doing like TikTok and online meetings and stuff was because, like, I needed fellowship with other women, you know what I mean, that I could relate to. And I'm so untrusting of people in real life. At least I was at first. Now I'm a lot better. And now I'm going to open my house up to this girl that I've been coaching for like almost a year. Her name's Micah. She's going to come stay with me, in March from Oklahoma. But like, I needed to have other women that I could talk to, you know what I mean? And I didn't have that when I got sober. All I had was my sponsor, and she was like 65 years old,
Yeah, you need someone your age and
that we
around
can relate to each other.
that relate to exact, and you have to have that. I did the same thing once I got sober. So when I got sober, and how I got sober was the guy I'm with now. I met him in active addiction when I was in active addiction. And that story's embarrassing
Oh,
too.
he helped you get sober, right?
He helped me get sober, right?
Damn.
Yeah,
Was
so
he in recovery too?
no. He had just gotten out of the army
Uh-huh.
and he did 7 years in the army, and then he had gotten out, and that's whenever him and I had hooked up and gotten to know each other. And yeah, I was I was I was bad in my addiction when I met him, and I don't know why he stuck around. I don't know why he stuck around. I still don't understand it to this day. It's
Because
embarrassing.
he saw that you were a good person. I mean, just
I
because
know.
listen to me. I was the same way with Neil. Like, why would he want me? Why would he want me? Girl, because we're the shit. Like, we have good personalities. We're pretty. We're outgoing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, right?
but when you're in your addiction, you don't think that you're any of those things. But they saw past that. You know what I mean? Just like with
Yeah.
my husband, he was a drug addict too. I saw past his addiction and he saw past my addiction. You know what I mean? And so that's what your husband, is he your husband now or your boyfriend?
Well, we're not officially like husband and wife, but I do call him my husband.
Well,
We've
he
been
saw
together.
past your addiction.
Like we've been together. It'll be 6 years in August.
Yeah, so that's what he saw past your addiction and saw the person you were without drugs and alcohol. You know what I'm saying? Because
Says
I
to
think there's like a misconception. A lot of people think that addicts are like that we're bad people and that we're not trustworthy and we're no good. It's not really that it's not that we're not trustworthy, we're no good, or we're bad people. It's that we have a disease, a compulsion to use a substance, even though that substance is killing us and causing us to make bad choices and harm ourselves and others. But it's literally a disease of the brain that causes this compulsive action over and over and over again.
it is a disease. And that's what I realized that right away when I was in and out of those, in and out of rehabs and stuff. And it took me a lot of in and out of those behavioral health institutions to get me clean. And yeah, so how did I? Okay, so yeah, his name is Justin, and he helped me. He helped me get clean. He wasn't an addict, but he would dabble with me a little. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
when we first got together, like we would do, coke together or whatever here and there. But he doesn't have an addictive personality. He
Isn't
just
that the damnedest shit?
I'm like, what's not fair?
How you just do a line and then go to bed or go do something else? What the fuck?
I do one, I have to do the whole thing.
Exactly.
He's like, no, let's just save it. Save it.
Right.
I didn't say.
Save
Like,
it.
what?
That's crazy. That's
I
blasphemy.
know.
Blasphemy.
It's not. But so anyways, it's not that he was like, so he wasn't like, against it or anything like that or whatever. He just would, just would do it every now and then. Well, it got to the point where I was kind of out of control, and I had gotten like a DUI. I had crashed my vehicle into another vehicle,
you were
and
out of control, girl.
yes, I was very out of control. And thankfully though, nobody got hurt, and we were going real slow. And even though it was oncoming traffic, it was like a small 2-lane road, so we were going real slow. Thank God. And because that was a wake up call. But it wasn't enough because I did overdose after that.
Mm.
And I had overdosed before, and so it wasn't my first time. But this time I remember I was like in a 3-day coma, and then when I had woken up, I don't remember hardly anything. I don't remember how I got there, and I don't know, it just sucked. So I remember going to the hospital after that and getting, sent to, I don't know, the Baker Act or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's it. You get in trouble about.
Where they make you go to
So
treatment?
yeah, so they make you go to when they make you go to treatment, because I don't know. So I went to another treatment center, and I was like, I cannot keep doing this. This was about maybe 3 years into Justin and I's relationship. He was like taking care of my son like more than I was, and I knew I needed to get help, and I ended up I just ended up not taking it ever again, and I promised myself I wouldn't do it. And Justin, he helped keep me busy and keep my mind busy to
Mm-hmm.
not do it. Um, I didn't, I don't know. The only thing I have been taking is the Suboxone, and I'm not even in a program for that.
Did you? Oh, so what do you mean? So you're not prescribed it?
No, I'm prescribed it from a pain
But you're
management
not like in a treatment kind of group
doctor.
thing?
Yeah, like that.
Like
So
you're a pain management doctor?
yes.
Okay.
So I've never really talked to anybody else that's been on Suboxone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys are the first people that I've ever talked to about Suboxone. So anyways, that's where I'm at today. And of
So
course,
you
Justin
just
wants.
transitioned onto Suboxone and that was it?
No. So let me tell you about my Suboxone story.
Okay.
I'll tell you that real quick. How I got on Suboxone. So whenever I first started Suboxone, I wasn't even prescribed it. My dad was prescribed it, This was after, so after John died, I forgot to tell you this part in my addiction part. After John died, I was taking anything that would get me high. Well, I started taking my dad's Suboxone and I started getting high on it. And
Mm-hmm.
for like the first year or whatever, or maybe the first 2 years, I forget. I wasn't keeping track. I didn't know. So it stopped getting me high after a while. And so I was like, I'm not going to, take this anymore. But it saved my life as well, because I I had tried heroin before, but because of Suboxone, it did nothing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I so I didn't ever do that again. Um, I had only been taking Suboxone because I started to withdraw off of it. If I
Mm-hmm.
didn't, and the withdrawals were really bad. But it doesn't, I don't have like a high feeling. So how I got it is when I moved in with my parents, I
Mm-hmm.
went to my Suboxone pain management doctor, and I told him that I was his daughter, and I told this doctor what I did to myself, and I told him about my addiction, and I told him I didn't know what to do. And so he prescribed me Suboxone. And I've been working with this doctor for like 8 years, 9 years now. And he's watched me like slowly get clean. And so he's trying to help me get off of this too.
That's
And so,
great, girl. That's good. Like, I totally support being on Suboxone. Like, I mean, obviously I got on it too. But when I used to be very against Suboxone before I got on it. Like,
fine.
I only went to AA. I was always going to, so I would get sober, I would go to treatment, I would get sober, I would get a sponsor, I would start going to meetings, I would start chairing meetings, I would even be working with others, and then I would relapse. And I did this over and over and over again for 10 years, until I went to treatment, and my psychiatrist at the treatment center was like, well, what have you always done? And I was like, go to treatment, get out, get a sponsor, go to meetings, work a job, relapse. And he's like, okay, well, it's time to try something different. If you've done that every time and you have not been able to successfully maintain sobriety, then it's time to try something different. And that's why I got on Suboxone. That, and because my husband had gotten on it, and I was like, oh, if he's on it, I need to get on it too, because I'm just going to take his medicine. You know what I mean?
Right? That's how
So
we are.
yeah,
That's how
so
we
I
are.
just went ahead and bit the bullet and got on it, but it was good for me because I had never been able to maintain sobriety longer than like 9 months, and I've been able to do that for the last almost 7 years now. Um, but I got to a point at like 2019, 2018, where I started to feel like Suboxone was having the opposite effect it had on me when I first started out on it. When I first started out on it, I would take my medication, I would get up, I would go and do stuff, I would go to work, I was motivated, I had energy, I was in shape. And then about
Yeah.
2 or 3 months, 2 or 3 years into it, I lost all my motivation. I started gaining like 25 pounds a year, just like, 20 pounds a year is a lot. And
Yes.
I just started sinking down in this hole, but I wasn't realizing, I wasn't putting two and two together that, hey, I'm having a negative reaction to the Suboxone. But I was hearing my peers say, hey, do you feel like since you've been on Suboxone over two years that it's making you depressed now, or like not making it to where you don't want to move off the couch or leave your house? And I was hearing people say this, but I was so grateful and thankful for Suboxone that I didn't want to say anything about it. And I didn't want to make anybody feel like taking Suboxone would make them have, a bad reaction, right? Or a
Right.
bad experience. And so I was kind of just like brushing it under the rug. Well, that's when I said to my doctor in 2019, man, I got to start tapering. And so I started tapering. And when I got down below 2 milligrams,
when I got down to 2 milligrams, I started to feel energy coming back. I started to feel motivation to leave my home coming back. I started to want
Wow.
to actually have sex with my husband. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
all these things started to be like, it was almost like they took a blanket off of me. That Suboxone was like blanketing all the stuff, and they took that off, and it was like all these little nerve endings were like awake now. And so that's what prompted me to push myself harder to keep going forward, to taper and to keep going lower. One of the things that has pushed me to want to get off, and I'm just going to be straight up with you guys, is the stigma of being on Suboxone. I wanted to be a peer specialist here in Arkansas so bad, and I'm just going to say it. I wanted to be one so bad, and I put in to be one, and they denied me because I was on Suboxone, and that hurt me so bad because I looked up to these people that were on this peer program, and I was told that it was a multiple pathway program that peers, because in other states peers are on MAT. And when that happened, that really knocked me back and made me want to be off Suboxone even more, but not for the right reason. For the reason that I want to get off of it because I'm being discriminated against.
Right.
For positions that I would be kick ass and take names at. You know what I'm saying?
I tried when I needed housing and I had nowhere to live in my addiction. I tried to get into a sober living place, and I was only on Suboxone, and I had just gotten off of Xanax. My parents had helped me get off of Xanax, and yeah, they would not let me. They would not let me in if I
Yeah.
was on Suboxone,
Now
and
they
nowhere would.
now they have to, like, sober livings. I'm pretty sure that sober livings have to accept people on MAT now, or at least the one that we have does. But yeah, here in
Wow.
Arkansas, it used to be like that. Here in Arkansas too, like people on methadone and Suboxone couldn't be in sober living or anything like that. But it's changed a lot with that now. Like when I was in sober living last, which was like in 2010 or 11, there was people that were on methadone in sober living. So that's changed at least. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Wow.
Um,
I really wish I would have known about that back in, like 2008 when my sister died. It could have saved her life. This Suboxone would have saved her life.
yes. And so, okay, so Andrea says, I'm confused. I thought no withdrawal from Suboxone. No, Suboxone is a partial opioid agonist. If you stop taking Suboxone cold turkey without tapering, you will absolutely experience withdrawal symptoms. Absolutely. Okay. Okay. I'm kind of getting off track. Okay. What else is there anything else how do you want to wrap up your story?
Where did we even leave off at? Oh yeah. So I got sober, and the man I'm with now is amazing. He's so understanding of my grief journey and the way I remember my husband and how I cope with it. He's really understanding about that. A great father. We had another baby together.
A girl or a boy?
A boy.
Oh, 2 boys. Damn.
So I have boys. So I have a 9-year-old and a 3-year-old. And so we have we have to do like our Christmas cards, like 2 different last names, because one of my boys has one last name and my other one has his last name. So I'm like, oh, it'll be good. It'll look good.
That's so awesome, though, that you were able to find love and have a family and pull.
I'm really
You
very
went through a
thankful
lot of trauma in your addiction, like losing your husband. That was fucking hardcore, and that's enough to make anybody never want to get sober.
Yeah, it definitely. There's days where I wish I would have taken a bullet instead.
And then your
But
sister too, man.
I know it sucks because I remember seeing her, whenever they carried her down, and when I told her, bye, and they carried her down in the body bag. I hated seeing that, And then whenever my husband passed, I had a closed casket because I didn't want to have to do that again. And then after I got sober and everything, my dad got really sick, and he had actually shot himself in the head. And but he lived, he survived, and he lost his eyeball. He lost his right. And
What did he say after he did that and survived? Was he pissed?
So my brother told him, "You are a terrible shot, by the way, Dad." That's what my brother said. But my poor daddy, oh my gosh, my poor dad. He's a great man. He really was a great man. He was,
Your dad he was struggling with addiction just like you. Y'all sound like y'all are a lot alike.
We are. He had a lot of mental health, issues growing up, and addiction as well. He was alcoholic, but he was in the military, and he was a helicopter rescue swimmer in the military. And so he jumped out of helicopters and he saved people's lives for a living.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I can imagine he's seen a lot of traumatic things as well, and a lot of deaths. So I can imagine why he would, want to drink and do that stuff. But he also still had mental health issues on top of it. So after he had shot himself, he actually moved in to my house, and my husband and I took care of him for a little while. And because he had ALS. And so he couldn't move, basically. He could move his arms a little bit, but he couldn't really move his body. So I'd have to, diaper changes. He had a tube feed him. And, I had to do his medications and shave him and bathe him and, what you do to take care of a person.
Yeah.
And, I could have probably easily turned to, pills again if I wanted to during this time, because my dad had a lot of it. And I don't know why I didn't, but I'm proud, it feels good.
I'm proud of you for not doing that, girl.
Yeah. And it's, thank you. I'm so thankful that I didn't. He ended up passing away from ALS in February last year. So since then, yeah, we've just been staying busy since then. So,
well, I mean, I'm so grateful that you came on and hung out with me, like, seriously. And I don't want, like, listen to me, like, do you see how easy it is? Like, we just come on here, we just chat, we just share stories, and listen to me, like, I'm telling you, like, I'll do this every night and have, like, a guest speaker on every other night.
You're natural at this.
I'm a beast when it comes to public speaking.
You're so good at it. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like the Xanax that I did. I think I have memory loss.
You might have dementia from it.
I forget what I'm talking about sometimes in the middle of a sentence, and I cannot remember what I was saying. And that's why I have to be like, what were we talking about?
People that take Xanax long term or any benzo, they actually talk about how some people they get dementia from it. They get dementia.
I believe it 100% because
and I like so. I have been doing interviews with people and having people on my channel on YouTube since, like I said, like 2018. And so whenever I'm doing it with people like with you, like if I see you kind of like struggling, I'm just going to help you get back on track like we did tonight. It's not anything. I don't know. I just feel like it's for me. I have gotten to a point where I share my story, and I've shared my story so many times, and I'm so confident and comfortable sharing it. Like I feel like today you shared a lot of stuff with people. There's 65 people in here, and so you're sharing about losing your sister, your dad, your husband. These are like traumatic experiences with strangers. And these are the first times that you've ever kind of like stood up in front of a group of people and had shared it out loud. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
have been practicing sharing my story for like 5 years, so I just can come up and just be like, I could, just entertain people, So that as you do this and do it more, you'll be able to do the same thing. You should make a YouTube channel.
I should. I'll think about it.
I'm all about trying to get people into like making a YouTube channel, doing social media, and like I am so into that and like helping people do that. You know what I mean?
Okay, I need to do. I got a comment the other day that said, "Do you have a YouTube channel?" And I was like, oh, "I don't," but
you should make a YouTube channel. Do you have Instagram?
Yes, I have Instagram.
Okay, good.
But I don't. I deleted Facebook.
Facebook, fuck Facebook. It's fucking, I have it because there's a big recovery community. Well, you might want to get it. There's a big recovery community on Facebook that you could benefit from being a part of too, because that's where like you can go live on there, and there's so many recovery groups and people share your lives, and then you have like, it's cool. I'll show you around. I'll get you in some of the groups.
I love meeting people that I can relate to. I used to I remember watching, the ID channel just because I want to relate to people that are going through the same pain. And I like to, the drug addict stories and recovery and all that.
Oh yeah. I used to watch Intervention all the time, girl.
Yes. I love it. So.
My dad and my dad and my sisters and my mom used to watch Intervention. This was when I was in my active addiction, and my dad and my sister would be like, "Yeah, Nicole smokes crack," and my dad's like, "We know," and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like my family is so crazy like that. I gotta tell you one thing before I let you go. One time, my dad came to treatment because I was in treatment, you guys, and it was visitation day where our families came. And we were all sitting around in a circle, and my dad's from New York. He's like an Italian stallion, and my mom's a little Mexican lady, okay? And it comes around, and it's my dad's time to share, and my counselor looks at him. She says, "Mark, how did Nicole's addiction affect you?" And my dad, he looks around, he says, her addiction was like a flat tire. It was a drag. And I was like, oh my God. And everybody in there started laughing, and it like totally like took the edge off. Everybody was like tense, you know what I mean? All these parents were in there, and I will never forget that. Her addiction's like a flat tire. It's a drag. And I'll never forget it. I tell everybody that story because it's so funny to me.
I love that. Oh,
but anyway, I love you, girl. I'm glad you came on here and shared and hung out with us tonight. I do want to have you on again, and we can just talk about Suboxone.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And but I do want you to text me tonight, and like if you have any questions about anything, if you're struggling with anything, or if you just want me to be there to support you while you're doing your taper, I will help you. You know what I mean? It helps me to be able to help other people. And that's what I was telling everybody today. Like, part of the reason why I feel like I'm doing so well with going back and forth on my Suboxone taper is that I'm constantly helping other people for my job. Like I'm on the phone, answering the phone for the treatment center. I'm getting people in for their appointments. And so I'm so focused on being of service to others that the only time I have really time to be down and crying is like at night or when I'm home alone all by myself and my son and my husband's not here. So it helps me to be distracted.
Right. Well, Nicole, I'm so happy we got to chat, and I would love to come back on and talk about Suboxone because.
Okay, girl. All right. Well, I'm going to kick you off. I love you. I'm going to upload this video on YouTube right now. Okay.
Okay.
Bye. Right. Bye, baby.
Hey, what did you guys think about Natalee? Isn't she amazing? She's beautiful. Like I wish you guys I see people like Natalee who they have this beautiful body, and I'm so jealous. So jealous. I wish that I could have been blessed with the skinny gene, but Oh, well. She has a really heavy story, and I want to talk about something real fast before I let you guys go. I blocked like 3 people in here, because here's the thing, you guys. Natalee's literally going through a taper, a Suboxone taper, and she's doing fucking really good. If you come in here and you fucking try to knock somebody down because they're, maybe they aren't as good as a storyteller, or they forget where they were at because they're nervous, because they're, maybe they aren't as good as a storyteller, or they forget where they were at because they're nervous because they've never shared their story in public before, and you come in here and you say shit like, this person looks like they're doing this or that. Like, get the fuck up out of my fucking shit, dude. Don't even come back on this page ever. Ever. Okay? Because one thing that we don't do is we don't ever accuse somebody of being under the influence when we are fucking watching them on TV. Like, come on, you guys. Like, you're not there at their house. Like, that's fucked up. And I don't put up with that bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, she's literally on MAT. Like, you know? And it makes me so sick to see that kind of shit in here. But I knew that as the numbers started going up, that we were going to have some bullshit. But it's because it's not... See, this is Nicole, discovering Nicole. Back when it was Real Talk Recovery and we had my old page, that would have never happened on here. Never. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm setting boundaries and I'm letting you guys know right now. It's unacceptable. We don't do that. We are here to lift each other up. We're here to encourage each other. We're here to help each other on each other's journeys. If you don't enjoy the speaker or you don't like somebody, then just leave. You know, just tune out. You know, but yeah, I just want to say that. Never again. Don't ever let me. Don't do it. Like I said, you'll automatically blocked. So, but like I said. If I thought that about her, do you think I would bring her on here? You know, of course not. And second of all, if she was, it would be even more of a better reason for her to be here, because that's what we're all supposed to be about, which is recovery and helping each other. Okay? So I just want to make sure that everybody understands what we're all about here and what I'm about. Okay, so, anyways, she's been through so much. She literally lost her sister when she was 18 years old. Her sister died of a drug overdose, okay? Then she loses her husband. Hasn't even been able to be married to her husband for 2 years, okay? The father of her child. Okay, then she has to take care of her dad on his deathbed. Do you know what I'm saying? Like trauma. Do you know that when people experience trauma, the way they express themselves, the way they share their story, the way their face is when they talk can be different? You know, not everybody's going to be like me and be all, you know, animated and wide and just off the chain. And it's because, like I said, I've been telling my story for years, you guys. So respect, okay? And I am just starting to learn about the effect that trauma has on our minds and our bodies and the way we respond to things, because I didn't even know that, you know, me being raped as a young girl, it has a impact on me as a woman today. You know, it has an impact on how I am with my husband because of insecurities. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video and upload it to my YouTube channel, but meet me back here because I'm going to go upstairs and wash my face off. So I'm ending this one and starting a fresh one.